Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out, as sometimes I am Bozer.
No, you are always Bozer. It's not just sometimes. And I'm T, so there's fuck up one.
He's keeping a running tally of how many times I fuck up because I have not been part of a Geek Out Sesh in months.
Let's be honest, when was the last time you went live? And this is not targeted at you, because the question is, when did I last go live too?
Sure. Well, you did a T-Paints before since my last Geek Out, but it was with Oceana and her art.
So that was July?
Was that July?
I think that was July. It might have been August.
This year, this whole year has been, I just got to get through this busy season.
All right, let's be honest here. You are always in a busy season. There's not just this busy.
No.
Your busy season is year long. That's the problem.
Well, but it didn't used to be. Like,
I've already told you how you fix the solution. Start failing your deadlines to force them into giving you the help you need.
I mean, hot take. I miss COVID, man. I miss COVID. Had nothing to do. This channel was born out of COVID.
Listen, I mean, if they want to start throwing out some checks again, who am I to say no?
That's when this channel made most money, when the government's just like, yeah, here's $600. Like, thanks. But I miss these, but honestly, it's getting to the point, I keep saying all the time, I've gotten too important at work and it's ruining my life. It's ruining Bozer's life majorly.
It's ruining T's life too, because T doesn't like doing this by himself, so he doesn't have fun with it anymore.
No, this is a buddy channel. Can't just be a buddy channel by yourself.
It's gotten so bad that Sky stopped asking me if I'm going live because the answer is no. No, I am not going live.
But Sky and Caitlin had the same reaction this morning. I told her, she's like, you coming home after work? I was like, yep, and then I'm streaming. Her face was like, for what?
What's streaming?
It's apparently this, when you say some utter bullshit in front of a camera, put it on the internet, and let people hang out with you. People like Heroes of Evermore. Holy shit. How was your first ever TTRPG con? I want to hear about it. You need to come back on and let's talk about it. These heroes were doing everything they could to help us be involved in it. And we said, listen.
We're broke. Sorry.
This doesn't make any money, and save branding sponsorships for people that will actually have something to come to when they see the brand. I'm like, oh, I'm going to check that out. They're going to come to a dead channel.
Yeah, we worked so hard to develop a community, and then this year we just said, what if we just stopped?
What if we just shit on all your chests? No, but they're still coming out. Like, I still feel like we haven't lost our community. We just lost connection.
Our core people will always be there because that's just what core groups are, thankfully. But the reach that we had of finding randoms again, I think that's going to have to be entirely rebuilt.
Hey, we started over once. We can start over again. Well, we started from the beginning once.
There's been like 4 rebrandings, so we'll just consider this a 5th one for 2025.
New logo. Let's go. Throw out your merch, kids.
Don't fix the problem, fix the logo.
I've missed you guys all. Dairy Public Radio, Josh. Hey, guys. But if you hear, say hi, because we are geeking out tonight with one of our favorite guys, one of our favorite people. Honestly, a friend to the channel, a friend to each of us personally. And I'm excited.
Heroes. Bozer's not available for a Geek Out session, but I will make myself available for a Geek Out session so we can recap MagicCon, if you're interested.
Mysticon.
Sorry, thank you.
I always think like Mysticon sounds like the third evolution of a Transformer. Yeah. Decepticon, Autobots, and Mysticon. Honestly, fantasy Transformers that are doing
I think that's a thing. Is that a thing? I feel like that's a thing. It might not be a thing.
Listen, we all need one more project in our lives. Let's put our heads together. Let's make this happen. We just need an illustrator, an animator, some voice actors, a recording studio.
I'm currently running into the first 2 issues now, and I'm like, this is why I stopped writing a comic book.
I know I'm still haven't gotten the pages to start sketching for you.
Yeah, I think I wrote 6 pages. Well, again, rewrote 6 pages of Urban Legends, and I was like, I'm going to put in all this work for it to immediately sit on a hard drive again, because I ain't got money to pay nobody to make art for me, and I can't make art.
Yes, you can. You have art tattooed on your body that you drew.
Yeah, but now it's all smudged, but that's mostly because I'm fat. But
no, you're skinny. You're losing weight.
No, I still have a long way to go.
Well, sure, but you're on the right path. You're headed in the direction that you want to go.
Not according to Sky. Sky's very angry about my progress.
She's like, why can't I wrap my arms around you? This is garbage.
Yeah, every time I bring it up, she gives me the dirtiest fucking looks.
Sky, support your hubby.
Nope, she will not. Cannot, will not.
DSB volunteers for voice actors, so there's one free unpaid actor.
Honestly, DSB, I need to talk to you about, have you read Do a Power Bomb? Because if not, I need you to do that stat so I can have somebody to talk about this with.
Drew will give us our New Yorker, so that's check. Everybody needs one. But I'm tired. Speaking of Drew, I'm tired of keeping him in the wings because I missed him. He keeps blowing up our chat and Instagram, and T always responds because I'm an absent father these days. And so now I finally can talk to him, and I'm excited. So thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for being here and supporting. We're getting real about game developing and what it gets into because he's got a really cool project and he needs your help. So help. But here to tell us all about it, please give a big round of applause. Drop some emojis in the chat for the one, the only Team Drew's basement.
Oh, y'all know how to make a girl blush.
Oh, he forgot to do the cheers thing. There's two.
Clapping.
What cheers thing?
There's two.
Oh, man. You're the
Our
worst.
live studio audience. And that's only 10 people clapping. Can you believe it?
Why am I so zoomed in? Why am I humongous on the screen?
Because you're hot and we need to let the world know.
Actually, I don't know if you can see it. I am sweating right now.
Yeah, we talked about sex selling before pre-stream, so this is what we're doing.
Hear me out. I have a great idea. It might be the wrong community unless you're down for that. It's partially my community. You and I do a photo shoot, and we just sell it to the LGBT community because we're gonna hit the bear market real fucking quick, and I'm down if it helps raise money.
Listen, I could put my arms around you before you start losing weight. Now it's just gonna get sexier. You're just gonna get closer.
Can I request to be photographer for that shoot?
You
So
can be
this
the
is your
fluffer.
backup. I'll be the fluffer. Done. You got it. You asked for it. This is what happens when you don't support Kickstarter, kids.
They have to get into porn to support their hopes and dreams.
Well, yes,
all my
they
dreams
can
are about to be
come
fulfilled
to
with that photo shoot, but sure.
Okay, next time we're coming out to New York, and we're actually coming this time.
Well, my father
Yeah,
had
we are.
the skin of a bear that he hunted on his wall. We can borrow that for the photo shoot, too.
Oh,
That is a great idea.
Put the bear theme perfectly.
2 bears, 1 bear.
Bear on bear on bear.
Yeah. Bear on bear on bear crime.
Bear on bear with otter.
I have been told I'm an otter.
Not.
Classification. You haven't. Oh, I got no nipples on stream. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right.
Well,
that's
for those that don't know you, and they are failing at life and they need to, but if they haven't seen your past Geek Out sessions with us, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do as a geek.
So I'm Drew. As a geek,
Drew.
I do all sorts of gaming, from like Warhammer to Dungeons and Dragons. I've been a dungeon master for 28 years. Fun little fact.
That's one campaign, by the way.
What?
That's one campaign.
Yeah, one campaign for 28 years. That is correct. All homebrew and all sorts of voices and fun stuff. So hire me. Let's see.
Let's wait. First, this is an audition. Hit us with. I'm going to give you some inspiration.
Oh no, not this.
And I want to hear from.
You open this can of worms for yourselves, my bud. We were going to give you just New Yorker, and you're like, no, I got all of them.
I didn't say all of them. I said I had a lot more than New York, but yeah.
Okay. I want to hear from a scrawny woman just bursts into the bar, and she her kid just fell down the well.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're going to be severely disappointed because my voice is naturally too deep to do it for a woman.
I don't think so. I believe in you. Let's hear it.
Oh, Boza, my son fell down the well.
The fact that it immediately went Southern Belle made it so much better.
I don't know why he's Southern.
Oh, Boza.
Oh, Boza.
I don't know. I like the way you say my name like that.
Boza. You know what? I'm gonna make that a sound clip and send it to you. So anytime anyone comes in on the chat and they type something, it'll just say Boza.
If only Talk Studio was that advanced, then absolutely that'd be cool.
I still need the sexy voicemail for Sky, but we can talk about that later.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Did I do a sexy voicemail for Sky?
No, we talked about the sexy voice, and it's something that's right up her alley, so I need one.
Oh, wait,
I need a
draft?
voicemail on her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. What kind of stream is this? What are we rated? PG?
Oh, we shot that immediately.
There was an E next to every one of our streams. Don't worry.
Because that gets real gross and dirty. But anyway, so I've done D&D for a long time. Something fun for you guys to know. I think T is more aware of it because he has already hit me up with the how do I get one. I am a published manga author that sold out at some Polish Comic-Con, and I'm finally getting my set of it sent to me, which is exciting.
About delayed Kickstarter. What's the manga?
It's a zine of a bunch of short stories, and the guy who does a lot of the artwork for my game was like, "Hey, dude, like, you do D&D and stuff. You want to write a quick story?" So I was like, "Sure." I was like, "When do you want it?" He's like, whenever." So like 20 minutes later, he had a full-blown story and storyboard in his email, and he's like, "Dude, I said you had time." I was like, "No, just take a look at it. Let me know what you think."
This is just me spitballing.
He goes, "Holy shit!" He goes, "This is great." He showed it to the editor, and then it was like, "Don't change a damn thing, especially don't change the ending." So I was like, "All right, great, go to town."
So you really can shit gold. Imagine how good it'd be if you tried. God, that's amazing. But what's it called?
The problem is like my brain doesn't stop, and it's part of the reason that like my wife gets real upset when I talk about like the Kickstarter / Game Found, because like she knows how much I put into it and how much like we'll get to that, but she gets upset when she sees me like down and out about it because she's like, your brain constantly moves. She's like, and you're constantly working. She's like, it makes me sad to see you sad about it, you know, like. But anyway, so I'm also a tabletop board game creator. I do a lot of conventions and stuff with running random scenarios and like one shots in the RPG community. I'm an award-winning miniature painter.
Award-winning. Just wait till you see them in a bit, guys.
Award-winning, yeah. I think those might have been rigged. I don't know, because I don't think I'm that great. People tell me I'm awesome. I'm like,
Hey, a win's a win. We don't question how it got there.
There are a lot of
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying.
I don't know about that, but you know. Other than that, I'm just a big nerd. I like to do all sorts of nerd things. So, and I was at Mysticon for Heroes of Evermore, who's in there.
Okay, how was it? Make us feel bad.
So, I'll break it down for you. The first night there, I got in, I think, the latest of everyone that was like flying in because I wanted to do breakfast with my kids like I do every Saturday. And then,
winning dad.
And then I fly because of the time zone difference. By the time I got there, it was like 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. And I text James from Tabletop Misfit, and he goes, somebody picked us up for dinner. We know we're over there having drinks, blah blah. I said, okay, I'll meet you over there. I put down the stuff in my room. I get changed. I come out, and I'm hanging out with the actor Todd Stashwick for the next few hours, talking Dungeons and Dragons with him. Who, if you guys aren't familiar with who he is from Picard, the originals, and about 1,000 other things. 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, it's casual.
Just something light.
So I sit down and I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting him. Actually, the photo that you posted, he was in the back there with the backwards hat on.
Oh!
Yeah.
I didn't look that closely. I was just focused on you.
Yeah, stop. It's because my shirt had no sleeves.
Yeah?
and the trap. Yeah. So I wound up sitting next to him, not even really thinking about it. and he found out that I was running Dungeons and Dragons for 28 years, and he's like, just turns and just engaged in conversation with me for like the next hour. And we just talked about D&D, the way it is, the way it was, and everything was awesome.
And fuck wizards.
I'm not going to get too deep into that.
I will.
Because I don't like
fuck
what
you
they do
too,
with the new
Hasbro.
edition at all.
Welcome to 4 Geeks by Geeks, where geeks support other things except that,
But
apparently.
not capitalists.
That's
No,
Fuck you and your AI, bitches.
No, Wizards is disgusting. I'm really upset with them with how they've taken everything. And the first domino to fall to really let you know what was kind of happening with that company was the whole open gaming license nonsense.
Yup.
That was the first indicator that this was no longer about the game. It was about making money.
They just wanted to know what they could get away with, saw it failed, and like, yeah, that's fine. We're going to do it anyways.
Yep.
Yep.
The artwork, and I apologize to the artists who really tried on that game and like the book. The artwork just doesn't have that same draw that it had in the other editions.
Well, it can't when it's made by AI and not people.
Well, we'll get into that later. But even 4th edition, which was like the edition that no one talks about, like the artwork in those books was so freaking good and like fun, and like this, I don't know, the New Player's Handbook 2024 is just kind of trash to me. I don't like it. I don't like what they did to Paladins, which is like my class that I love, and they just destroyed it. Oh, Paladins can do Smite? No, everyone can do Smite now. Now it's just a spell. It's not an ability anymore, and it's just like, you know what? Fuck you. It's like, why are you like things that have been established since before any of us have ever played this game, like that are symbolic of these characters and like of these classes and of these races and stuff. You're just taking it, throwing out, say, yeah, anybody can be anything and anyone that they want. Like dwarves should move slower. They have smaller legs. I mean, look at the whole Gimli speech. You know, they're dangerous sprinters. You know, like they're not for long distance running.
Right. And it's almost like we're getting completely off topic now, but it's almost like they are like they're seeing where people are headed in like the Fate Core and just like the more generic kind of.
And if that's what you want, make that fucking game.
Right.
Yeah. So they're just trying to get best of both worlds, where they still get the D&D feel that is iconic, but now they're watering it down so much that it's nothing like what it used to be.
Well, my issue, and I think here's the problem. Here's what it all stems from. And I can get booed out of this chat right now. It's fine by me.
Okay, we can't hear them.
The problem that I think caused all this was obviously during COVID, people need something to do, right? And D&D was a surefire, like people haven't tried to start trying it. Critical Role became big and it was great. The problem is people saw the success of Critical Role and maybe a couple of other big channels like that obviously Critical Role's there, lightning in a bottle. You're never going to reproduce that. But there's a couple of channels who got close to it, who had a decent following. They're making decent money, where some of them can, like, that's their day job now. They role play. The problem is, and we used this word before, Ostrom talking about something else, the community and the industry of it is so saturated with people trying to make money on playing the game. Because if Critical Role can do it, why can't we do it? I'm hilarious. I can tell a great story. There's so much that goes into it that people don't realize that, like, it's just flooded with all these actual play or edited video play of like D&D games. And now, because everyone's trying to monetize on it, Wizards, instead of it being a game and an escape for people that were bullied and stuff like that, is now Wizards like, well, if they're going to make money, we're going to make money, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that's part of the reason they ran away from the OGL situation, was because everyone was using their content and IP to make money off of it. And they're like, fuck you. If you're going to take our IP like across the board and you're going to start charging other people money for it, then maybe we should get a cut of that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying I could see how that's where it all stemmed from.
Yeah, right. Instead of recognizing that D&D is the entry point for, I would say, 90% of people to get into TTRPGs and allowing themselves to be that thing, they're like, no. What if we then throw that away and then completely ostracize and disregard our entire community that's built us up to this point? Because at this point, I don't know anybody still in the TTRPG community that, one, supports Wizards, or two, still plays 5th edition, 5.5, or 6th edition, whatever bullshit they're trying to create at this point. Like, at this point, it exists because it's like a cornerstone entity of geekdom, but in it itself, it's dead. There's no regrowth coming from this outside of you seeing a complete restructure of the company and having somebody of like Matt Mercer's like geek level coming in and not caring about profit sharing, not caring about shareholders, caring nothing more about the community. We are not going to see anybody that's in a capitalistic standpoint exist in that threshold and see any part of that ever thrive again.
Right. But what you just said was the key of it, was like someone like Matt Mercer, they're making their own game now. They're making their own fantasy game. So like that's what it is. And
they don't need D&D.
No, they don't. They've gotten to the point that they don't need D&D to make their money. And I think the problem is, and I'm going to sound really old, is the new generation of gamer doesn't game to just game. Like, this is from, I'm going to speak from personal experience here when it comes to specifically TTRPGs, from doing multiple sessions at multiple conventions, doing all this stuff. I'm not saying that anyone is wrong or their feelings are invalid on how they play the game, because the game is really play it how you want to play it, how it makes you happy. But the new generation of D&D players, and I'm not talking about age-wise, I'm talking about just this new wave.
Yeah,
is characters are not allowed to die. Like, you can't have severe consequences to poor decisions.
You can't fail.
The players tell you what you can and can't put in your story. The community tells you who and what you can put in your game, tell you who should be on stream, tell you who shouldn't be on stream, what classes you should include, what characters you should not include because they don't like the way they were made or what they represent. Like, there's so, like, that new generation is so about monetizing and making it easily digestible to people that might want to watch it, that people forget that it's just, like, and I truly believe it's one of the reasons that my campaign is so successful in my own little world, is because it just means me and my friends are getting together once every few weeks, having a couple beers, having some snacks. I usually cook dinner for them. And we just hang out and we play the game and we laugh and we talk about some real world stuff for about 5 minutes. Then we go back to the game and then we might reminisce on the story. Then we play the game again. It's not about profiteering. It's about that connection, that, like, just playing with friends and hanging out with friends. And I think that that's really gone in the current state, in the new wave of players.
No, and I'm with you, and I'm about to sound like Grandpa Bozer when social media has ruined the world, because everything we do has to be for somebody else's attention. It's that attention economy. Everything is all about how many eyes you can get on what you're doing, and even in the private things that you're doing, even if it was like a game played at your own table,
right?
It's still like that, this new mindset of how we see everything, that you can't just escape and be in your own world for a while. It's like looking at your life through the lens of somebody else all the time.
Yeah, and listen, I met a lot of great people at Mysticon. I think one of them just jumped in, if I saw her name correctly. Space Time Traveler. Space Time. By the way, her name is officially Space Moose because I'm old and dumb and couldn't get her name right, so it just became Space Moose for the whole weekend.
Space Moose.
She's incredible. Her friend Vlad the Impala was incredible. They were just two absolutely wholesome, wonderful human beings. Well, so awesome. You want to make you jealous about Mysticon?
Yeah.
I'm going to make you jealous right now. So this very fine lady and handsome young man come over to my table and say, "What is this about?" And I start talking to them. We start jiving about, like, the game and everything and blah, blah. And they're like, "Oh, great." And, like, he loved when he's like, "I have to buy this mini." And, like, he bought it. It was super awesome. I was like, "It's so great to meet you guys." You know, like, I had just met her on quote unquote Instagram because she posted that she was going. And it was, you know, I got to meet them in person. A couple hours later, they're like, "Hey man, like, we got drink tokens. We're going to buy you a drink." And I was like, "Oh shit. Great beer, by the way," at a convention. First convention that had a beer menu.
A whole menu.
Yeah. Yeah. All themed for the con. It was great.
That alone hurts, Bozer.
Yeah.
And then,
the $8 hot dog.
Question. Do you love beer? Is that why you say that?
I love all drinks.
Okay, so it's about to get worse for you. So at the end of the convention, Vlad and Space Moose come up to me and they're like, "Hey, we're going to the brewery after this," because there was Battle Mage Brewery there. You know, are you guys going? And we're like, yeah, we're thinking about going. I'm like, "I just got to get an Uber and everything." And they're like, no. Load your shit in my car. We're going to drive there. So we all hop in Vlad's car, which was not an Impala, by the way.
It's a trap.
Well, listen, I even said
Fun fact, Drew's actually in their basement right now.
Put the gun away. No. James from Tabletop Misfits, I turned to him, I'm like, I'm like, there is no stranger danger happening right now. And like, I really feel like from New York, I should really trust nobody, but here we are. Getting in
That's the plus note about cons, though, is, well, yes, always to anybody, always exercise caution, always be mindful of your surroundings and who you're incorporating yourself with. In my experience, and again, this is coming from a group of white men who usually don't have to worry about these types of things. Much easier to go into those situations where you can trust just about anybody as long as the vibe is okay. And that, at least that's been my experience with coming into cons. Is I've yet to meet somebody that there's been instances of like, let's grab you some deodorant and then maybe we could hang out. But outside of that, everybody at a con is like, we're all here for this one fun event, and that's all we give a shit about. And it's the easiest place to make friends.
Yeah. So we go down to
the Napper's car.
So we get into the stranger's car, and I'm like, there's no way this could go terrible. And then I get knocked out. No. So we go to this brewery called Battle Mage Brewery. The whole place is Dungeons and Dragons and gaming themed, and like Fantasy Warrior themed, and they all play World of Warcraft. On the walls are character sheets and how they died from their campaign that they run there.
Love that.
And so we went there, and we wound up getting a bunch of drinks, and I got one called Chaos Bolt. It was a sour, which was out.
Fucking love sours.
I just messaged him to see if I could get to New York somehow. And at the end of the night, because we stayed there for about an hour or two, and we're like, okay. I'm like, hey, listen, I just set up my tab. I had this beer. I'm like, and I'll take care of Space Moose and Vlad and James. And they're like, no. It's all free tonight. So not only did you miss amazing beer at the con, you missed amazing homebrewed beer at a brewery, and then we didn't have to pay for it.
I hate it here.
And then I got a sweatshirt from my wife because she's always stealing mine.
You know why I wasn't at the con? Because I was working. I had to work on a weekend. Okay. Always.
So just so you know, I could have worked Saturday morning and still made it to the con, no problem. So saying efforts.
This was a Friday night show, Saturday night show, Sunday matinee. And then strike. There was no way.
My goal in life is not to be rich. My goal in life is to be invited by my friends to go to a con across the country. But yeah, I can afford to fly out and do that for a weekend.
Okay, T. MrCon 2025. You're invited.
Unlikely, but we'll talk about that off stream.
We'll figure it out, because I will tell you. So the con was not in an insulting way. It was a smaller size.
That was the first time.
It's the first con.
Only a few gaming tables, good vendor space. But the community and family vibe that was there, I'm telling you, from any perspective, any size con, was unparalleled.
I think that's super important. I've been to, I'm not going to name the smaller size con that I have attended. And the heart is there, but I will not say it has not been family vibes whatsoever. And I think that is a very large selling point for one, in making yourself and coming up into that new con space. Is I think that is probably got to be the biggest level of entry that needs to be required. But number one is family oriented, in the sense that you should be able to walk in and feel no fear, feel no danger, knowing that you're not coming in here just to spend money for a bunch of people that don't give a shit about you. Right, those, I think, are pretty core components that obviously once you get to a certain threshold, those things are easier to check off. But if you can't hit that at con 1, maybe cons aren't your thing to run.
Well, we've been teasing Morgan a lot about it. So sorry, Morgan, I'm going to tease you again about it. Is we said that like that family vibe was presented there. They worked hard to give you that feeling. But like halfway through the day, Chris was soaked head to toe in sweat, and Morgan's hair was still perfectly coiffed. and we've been teasing Morgan about it since. We're like, dude, he's like, dude, it's just hair gel. Like, yeah, okay. We could tell who was really busting their butt there. And it just gets under his skin enough that it's funny.
That's the ideal friendship bullying level.
Yeah.
Listen,
they really put on. It was a really, 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 in terms of community and everything, it was a super great con. I already hit them with some feedback of things that if they want to see it grow, I think they should consider. Because Long Island Tabletop, while I'm not one of the owners of it, I've certainly contributed my feedback to them, and like we've talked. I've talked to the creators of it and bounced it around. And I mean, we went. Well, I say they, technically speaking, but I was part of it. They went from a 1-day con that had a few hundred people to the next year they had to have 2 days, and it brought in like over 3,000 people.
Progress is progress, and that's what we like to see.
And that's what I was telling Morgan and Chris. I was like, dude, I'm like, if you guys want to see this thing grow, because we all do, get just a space of tables to run games at, like spread it out, like make it feel like individual experiences at those tables, like do all this stuff. And they were like, yeah, like we would love to do that. I'm like, no. I'm like, MysticCon 2024 is over. Tomorrow, look for a new place immediately. Like, do not rest. Don't say, oh, well, look next year. No, start now. Because one thing that they do with Long on Tabletop is they book it. The weekend plays out. So this time it's April 5th and 6th, I think. So if you guys want to take a drive to New York, come on through.
Always.
It takes place at an aerospace museum, which is really cool.
Ooh.
So I was running games under like an F-14 Tomcat, which is really cool.
That's sick.
And they're not replicas, by the way. They're real like jet fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
They're obviously decommissioned, but that as soon as the con ends on Sunday, Monday morning they book the next year.
Smart.
So like, you got to do that.
Okay, but I think we're giving
way off track.
MysticCon their Geek Out Sesh. They're not even here. You're next. But let's talk about you and talk about never resting. You guys, this guy, he just listed off his full resume, and that's not even his full resume. You are nonstop.
Iceberg. Tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, your brain can never rest. And that comes through with all these things that are pumping out specifically. Let's talk about where it started. Before we get to the expansion, tell us a little bit about WASDeck.
So, for those who haven't heard the story, Super Dungeon Explorer was a game that I discovered when I was dating a girl for 7.5 years who cheated on me, called me fat, and then left me. And
it's good legacy.
And I was like, listen, not much has changed. I'm still fat, but here we are. So when that happened, I was like, what am I going to do? Like I really just, like, that's who I was hanging out with all the time. And I was like, I'm going to go to the local game store. And I met a couple guys there. And they said, hey, why don't you try this game with us? And I was like, all right, cool. Sat down with this group of dudes, played a game called Super Dungeon, and I fell in love with it. I was like, and this is my new obsession. And I just started playing it with my friends, with my family, buying everything that existed in the game. And then over time, they would announce, well, pardon me, let me rewind. So I started saying, like, this is like, set up a dungeon, run through a dungeon, clean it up. How do we campaign this? Like, how do we make this like where, like, we do a dungeon, cool, but what happens from this dungeon to that dungeon? Like, because that's the way my brain works. Like I want to have a story go with this. So I started working on just like a campaign rule set, like lightly, like just for fun, seeing what guys would think of it, doing narrative dungeons that told a story.
And your lightly is whip it up in 20 minutes, send it to editors, say don't change the thing, including the ending. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Context, just for context.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like when I started thinking of it, I immediately put on the Soda Pop forums World Quest, where I just said, hey guys, I'm working on this rule set. If anyone in the world that plays this game wants to join the World Quest, let's do this. And I just threw it out there. And I had people in Australia playing it. I had people in China playing it. People in Europe and UK saying like, hey man, we did your quest. Here's what we got, from our run. And like, we combined it all to open up like temporal caverns.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So it was like a big, literally a world event in the game that wasn't really canon or anything, but like it brought the community like joy.
Yeah.
And then
together.
Yeah, exactly. And they were loving it. And then they announced that they were going to do this version of the game called Legends, which for those who know about Legends, probably just their blood probably just boiled a bit. So they put it on Kickstarter, 6,000 plus backers, $1.5 million. Super, super successful Kickstarter. Never delivered to this day.
Because they declared bankruptcy in March of this year?
So we'll get to that. Don't you worry. Because the bankruptcy filing happened 2 days before my first attempt at this went live.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was going live Saturday. Thursday was the trial. It was awesome. It was the worst feeling in the world.
Jesus.
So we'll get to that in a minute.
Forgot to do a quick Google search before heading live, huh?
It was no. It was we were in motion and everything was set to go, and then there's just like, hey, bankruptcy, and I'm like, fuck, because that was going to go one of two ways, and it went unfortunately the way that I was really anticipating it going, despite my best efforts. But we'll get back to that. So they announced Legends. They released some beta rules for it, so you could see like what it was doing. They essentially turned it into like a chibi D&D 4.0, and I was like, ugh. I was like, these heroes are so iconic. I want them to level as their heroes, as they're meant to be. I want to put out this rule set that like you just level these heroes, make these heroes stronger. You don't just use them as placeholders because they have over 167 heroes.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to have the Royal Paladin be like, oh, my name's Drew, and here's my random powers. Like, no, like his iconic powers that he has, because they all have iconic powers to their own character. I want him to get stronger, those powers to get stronger. I said, fuck it, I'm gonna keep making my rule set and just, share it around, whatever. And then fast forward a few years, I got really deep in it where I created endgame rating, crafting, town stay, everything. My dad develops prostate cancer. My dad's favorite game in the whole world is Super Dungeon, but not just Super Dungeon, my specific version of it. He, not just because he's a supportive dad, he just loves building a guild roster and like just running like these big dungeons. So me and my friends got together and I was like, hey, like he's really going through it right now. Would you guys mind just meeting like every other week and we'll just play? And they're like, yeah, dude, totally. Like it's like my friend Adam, who's been in my D&D games since it started. He'd been my best friend for 30 plus years. He's like, that's my dad too. I got you, bro. Like we're in. Like it was like such a good community vibe and like family vibe, and and my dad's cancer free now, obviously, because he still plays. And but I said, how do I thank my friends and this group of gamers like for just constantly being there to like keep my dad's mind off of it? So I started creating minis, and since we're talking about Adam right now, I made Adam, who, if you can see him in real life, this is actually really close to what he looks like in real life.
Fuck yeah.
And his favorite way to play a game is like a caster. So I made him a necromancer.
Nice.
And I did that with all my friends. Like my friend Pat, you don't have to zoom in on me. My friend Pat.
You didn't get any bigger anyway.
My dad, I put everybody in, and of course he's the poster child of the game because some might say it's an ego, but it's not. Druthalion. And I'll explain how they all got their names and stuff in a second. But so I put them all online. Then I'm starting to like develop these heroes and stuff and these characters. And like this was the first mini I posted, even though she's gigantic here.
Fucking killer.
And I said, and I was like, hey man, like, for those who've been following me in this game, blah blah blah, and this rule set I've made for it, like these are the minis I developed for it. And I get a little message from one of the original creators of the game saying, hey bro, cool mini, we should have a phone call. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I just stepped in dog do. Wait a minute, I didn't sell any of this. I'm okay. What do they want to talk about? So I wound up having a meeting with the two original creators of it, which was super rad, super cool, to talk to the people that created a game that I love. I will say they have a bad rep in the community. They were super nice. Like they were really decent human beings. And I can't talk publicly about what they have said to me about everything, but general gist is like, I feel like from the vibe, this is my opinion before I had the phone call with them, and the phone call just kind of solidified it. I think they had bad money people around them when it came to that Kickstarter, where I think they just, the money people poorly used it and allocated it, and I think that caused the big problems. And I had that feeling, like, again, I've always maintained that since before I spoke to them, but after speaking to them, I'm like, I still kind of feel like this is what happened, just from their stories. But, and
it's you surround yourself with the wrong people, you can have a great vision and a great heart for it, but if the people go out with the boots on the ground are shitty, then it's going to end up shitty.
Well, which is kind of why I'm doing everything myself on this project, and we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to it.
Oh, there's a lot of drama with this project.
Spill it.
But so what was it? So I spoke to them, blah blah blah. So I said, the open gaming license. I said I can't do this with your names attached to it. I said it's just not going to go well. And they're like, no, we we agree. Everyone's still upset about it. Like you should really rock and roll, do your own thing. And we talked and we worked it out where I have a special one-off open gaming license to create this expansion and release it, and they invest nothing in it. They give me no money. They get no money from it. So this is completely free and clear of Ninja Division and Soda Pop Minis. They get nothing. But they are like, so I had a couple meetings with them after and showed them just a couple of things I was working on. Mm-hmm. They're super fans of it. Like they were like, dude, this is so cool. Like we love it, like what we're looking at, like what you're showing us. So that was cool.
They wish they could get some money off of
it. And then where do we go from there? So then I start promoting this thing, start showing it off, saying, hey man, like we're gonna launch at Long Island Tabletop, which was like my home ground. And then I get people telling me, don't launch on a Saturday, you have to launch on Tuesdays. I'm like, I don't care what day I launch. Like I just want to put it out there, people will find it and blah blah blah. And then, I'm getting a lot of hate at me from people who are still burned by the previous game. And I get some people who are super, advocating for me. It was such a back and forth and it was a nightmare. And then news comes through that Ninja Division is filing for bankruptcy. I just go, shit. I'm like, well, maybe I can use it to my advantage. Say, hey, look, they're filing for bankruptcy. It means your collections aren't going to grow. You're not going to get Legends. This is my project. This is what it cost me. This is what it can cost you. Like, let's do it. Let's keep those, collections they spent all that money on in rotation. That was surprisingly the wrong answer.
Why? That makes sense to me.
Because you're thinking logically. Some people dude, I'm telling you, it's just not a good scene. The chibi scene, they've all been burned so many times that it's just more and more of anyone tries to do anything in that space, and it's a crapshoot. You're going to succeed tremendously because it's so uniquely different, but still chibi, or you're going to just crash and burn because like, oh, it's just like Super Dungeon. No. And then they announced the court date 2 days before I go live with the Kickstarter. I'm like, man. But I said, I'm gonna power through like I do most things, and we'll just see what happens. So we launched live at Long Island Tabletop, and it was not good. It was a very bad decision. I did well at the convention.
Yeah, that's what my question was. Would people come up to you and just like throw tomatoes at you?
No, dude, at the convention, man, and I'll say this about every single convention, including Mysticon recently, where I will tell you, my game was not a good spot for Mysticon. Like, Mysticon was more D&D based and like TTRPG. This was more board game TTRPG.
Yeah.
So people really dug it, but people were more there for D&D stuff. So my sales weren't great, but I gained a lot of followers from that convention. So like,
good.
So monetary, I didn't do as good as I would have hoped, but in terms of like getting it out there and people backing from that was big. So
yeah, good visuals.
Yeah, but even everyone who came up to me at Mysticon, they loved it. They loved the minis. I met a guy there, Mike, who's the Weather Dragon, who does like these custom D&D gaming tables. Which, if you haven't seen his stuff, go look at.
Every time I scroll on Instagram, I see one of those from. I haven't seen this guy specifically. I'm gonna go.
I'm telling you right now, the Weather Dragon. I've seen his stuff in person.
Oh, I think I have seen his.
It is legit.
The Weather Dragon or the Weather Dragon?
The Weathered Dragon. Like a weathered piece of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also a tremendously fantastic human being. But I met him there for the first time, and he came by to the game, and he was just like, this is so effing cool. Like, he was loving every bit of it, loving the minis, picking up the minis, looking at everything. I think he might have even done a real, like, showing off my minis to, like, his followers because he thought they were so cool. And super, super rad dude. He loved it, and even though he knew nothing about it.
Oh, I've seen these.
And every single con I bring this to, every single show or something I bring this game to, everyone falls in love with it. But it's just that community is so burned and scorned. And like, I get it. I don't blame people for it. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah.
Like, it's understandable. It's logical. But I'm not them. So.
And I kind of feel like I don't understand why like the rebellion didn't pick up for you. Because it's like, these people burned us, but this is like our own thing. Like, we are reclaiming Super Dungeon in our own image.
Right, exactly. And, I mean, listen, I don't know where I was going with that.
Because we're still on the Super Dungeon Kickstarter.
Oh yeah. So my first attempt at this failed. People saying it's overpriced. We shouldn't have to do it like this. We want it like this. They want everything digital. They want the minis as STLs, which I said absolutely not, will never happen. Because once Bowser has the STL, T has the STL. Once T has the STL, T's best friend has the STL. Like, I'm not giving you the STLs to my minis. Like, that's part of the bread and butter of my game is my miniatures.
And the way you print them and how good you are at printing them. Like,
That's,
it would just get watered down, watered down, watered down.
and that's the thing is, like, people who pick up my miniatures are like, dude, these are insane. Like, they're so crisp, so clean. Like, there's no mold lines. There's almost no cleanup required on them. Like, how do you do this? I'm like, I just print them myself rather than go to like a big company.
Yeah.
And you know, people are saying, well, what if you did a piecemeal where like they could get back into the game at like this base level, and then you could piecemeal everything. I said, yeah, all right, you know, like a lot of angry people, I'll take this and I'll lick my wounds, swallow my pride, and I'll come up with a new game plan for the game found, which is what's going right now. And Gilfy's Hollow. There you go. The minis are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Love you, Gilfy. She's actually gotten a few. She's gotten some Funko Pops, which, by the way, since I have you here, that last shipment you got of Funko Pops, let me know if everything got to you safely. I think everything should have got to you safely, but as T will back me up on this, the USPS has not been kind to these sometimes. So let me know if everything got to you good.
Yeah, the word fragile means shit to the mail system these days.
Oh, bro, it's insane. So basically, for the game found, I said, you know what, I'll do that. So I have a returning hero pledge, which is $99. It's a ton of content for $99. There's just no minis in it. And then all the minis are, you know, piecemeal. You can add them a la carte. So you don't have to take all of them. You don't have to take, you know, a certain set of them. Like, you can just add whatever heroes you want and you're good to go. And everyone's getting a free mini with it too. Everyone's getting Duke Raymond for free. This fine fellow right here.
Wait, let me blow you up.
Oh. I don't even know how this works, but Duke Raymond, everyone's going to get for free. He's your classic, like, warrior tank style. You know, and so I did it where you could just do the the returning hero where you get everything you need to update your existing collection. It has printed materials that have never been released before in terms of the Mighty Monster chart. It has character sheets, literally over 1,000 cards, new dice, rule book, questing decks, crafting decks, questing decks, updated loot and treasure decks, arcade challenge decks, arcade plot decks, like all sorts of stuff. Town stay board, which is 24 by 24, or I should say 22 by 22. You know, the decorative box, vendor items, all sorts of stuff, right? And a big set of dice for the game. Tons of stuff, and it comes with a hardcover book that is done in Dungeons and Dragons style in terms of hardcover, nice strong pages, because it's meant to give you years of gameplay. It's meant that you can take this book out and use it again and again and again and again. People tell me that's still too expensive.
And this is like the base piecemeal kind of thing this is
$99. Yep.
So if you loved Waz deck in your cooler iteration than the Super Dungeon, this is what you're going for.
Well, no, if you have Super Dungeon, like an existing collection, if that's what you said.
Okay.
This is your bare minimum to get in. It
Okay.
gives you years of content just there.
You can build off the things you already have. With your
Exactly. And this doesn't replace the original core set of rules. So you're still playing Super Dungeon. It's just now you can level your heroes. You can do endgame raids. There's narrative campaign dungeons that give you like better rewards and stuff. And then if you've never played before, you can do the new adventurer one, which includes, so all the art you see there, you get standees for all those enemies. You get 5 double-sided tiles, and you get everything in the returning hero. Plus you get all the updated token sheets. Like, there's a lot to it. And you get all, obviously, the enemy cards for them. And you get to choose 5 heroes from the 10 heroes available. to just go with your pledge.
And so these characters we're looking at now, these are standees, but the 5 heroes would be prints.
The 5 heroes will be the 3D prints. Yep.
Got it.
And just so you know, like when you're looking at this, where you see like that in the top left, you see the champion with the axe and the 3 skeleton dudes.
Yeah.
Each skeleton dude is its standee. It's not like a group of 3 and one standee.
Nice. Yeah. Because they're not all attacking you on one square.
Right. Exactly. So like they're all individual standees.
This is all original art too, right?
All 100% original art. Yep. And it's not AI. It's
I was just about to make sure you emphasize that because that's
everything
big bullshit
in this
right now.
project. That castle you see in the background, everything is generated by a human being in this project. There's not a single artificial intelligence note in this.
This is human intelligence, you guys.
They'll set the bar low.
Not BI. Don't worry.
So yeah, so that's if you're a new adventure. But if you want everything,
oh, here's a bigger image. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm zooming in.
The complete Plague Throne saga it gives you everything the returning hero gives you, the new adventure, everything it gives you in that. Plus, it gives you that's the picture of all the heroes there of the 3D minis.
Oh my god, you can see the detail on screen even. Then
you have the Joragumo box, which gives you 3 dungeon tiles, the rules for the raid, the 3 sisters. Then you got the Mistborn Ziggurat, which gives you the Troll King, Troll Queen, plus another board, plus cards and tokens. And then you have the Plague Throne raid, which also has its own set of stuff in terms of miniatures, boards, rules, tokens, cards. Like each box is weighty. Like there's stuff to it.
Yeah, looks heavy from here.
And each one of those, so those don't have the same hardcover books, but each raid has its own rule book, which is like the regular like heavy duty paper binding.
Yeah,
just not a hardcover. But so that dragon that you see there,
I'm obsessed with this dragon.
That's how big it is.
That's a chunky boy.
Wait! Oh my god. He's so pretty.
That's how big he is. And that
boy.
And that stairs and everything is like all comes with him. That's his base.
See, and that's where I got to chime in here because this is why Sky doesn't play board games with me is because I love massively sized board games. I love the things. I love the pieces. And it's just not her thing because it's too much. But so, and this is not me calling people out for their dislike for the cost of miniatures. But if you're looking at this game and complaining at the cost due to its cost because it comes with miniatures, you don't buy board games that come with miniatures ever. Yeah. And that's okay. That's just not your thing. I'm going to be 100% honest here. I have not backed this. I don't have $200 to spare right now. I've already told Drew this. We've already had this conversation. This is not a bomb being dropped on him. But $200 for coming out with, I think for the all-in, you're getting what?
20 miniatures.
Sorry, thank you. 20 miniatures.
20 minis.
That's not a thing in board games. This, on the cheaper side, and again, this isn't me gassing up Drew because he's our friend and we've got him on here. As somebody who actively buys board games like this on a regular basis, $200 for large, high-quality models is not something you get really ever. I've picked up a couple along the way where I'm like, oh, these are great. And then you pop them out of the box and like, oh, yeah, this was just clearly art that they threw on the box. The moment you look at the models, these look like cheap-ass plastic. And those are always disappointing. But when you're getting something that you're getting a mini that you're going to get for D&D at one point that you're going to pay $10, $15 a model for regardless.
It's big and shitty.
For smaller and shitty, it's going to have bent plastic to it already. WASDEC is already a niche subsect of a niche subsect in board games.
That's the problem.
Right. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, it's an uphill battle for you since this is attempt number 2 trying to get the money you need to actually get this out. But I want to highlight just a few big emphasis things here. You've got 4 people that backed at the retailer gaming club pledge. So that means individuals own game stores and think, hey, I could pick up this product and make my money back. So that's already one super important thing, in my opinion. You've got 12 people returning here. So that's 12 people that you've already involved in your community that are wanting just additional content. And you've got 86 people backed for the complete Plague Throne saga, which, again, I can only imagine how frustrating that is on your side, because you have a goal, you have a set expectation that you are trying to reach, and it's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world to see the finish line and not be able to get there. But I also look at this as, if you can find a way to make the logistics work personally, gonna be a bitch, gonna be an uphill battle. I'm seeing literally 100 people ready to support you and everything that you are bringing towards the community, because you've already proven, one, this is quality. This isn't something that got pulled out your ass, that you're not doing this as a money grab like we're seeing with other game companies do across Game Found and Kickstarters, where they're just making all of their money like, oh, here's the pre-order, so we're not actually back or fronting any money to make these things. Right? These types of things.
Back to that.
I'm circling on so many things that we need to touch back on.
Yeah.
Because then you've also got to fight with the fact that GameFound is also not going to funnel you to the front of their page or give you the free self-promotion, because either one, you're not paying to be on that front page, or two, you're not making the immediate 1 week trial turnaround of you fully funding your Kickstarter for them to auto put that in the front for more people to just naturally see it and then back it on top of that.
Right. Well, that's the thing. So and it was said to me, like, the campaigns that do well get the front page treatment if they're doing well, because obviously they get the percentage of successfully funding games.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a big company who's able to put, tons of money into advertising, everything. They launch, and on the first day they're at like $350,000
in day one.
Day one for a game that, like, listen, could be a great game, but the three of us before stream were talking about how the Game Found and Kickstarter thing is so flooded now with just so many things. It's like people don't realize, like, you see these big numbers and these big successes. Oh, anyone who talks to you about Kickstarters, especially starting it for the first time, will tell you expect to fail 2 or 3 times easy, maybe more.
Because the big numbers you're seeing are not indies. They're not people doing this for the first time. I'm sure on occasion you're finding somebody who's found their and managed to hit that jackpot. But all of these people you're seeing, if you start like going deeper into just like, oh, who funded this? Do a quick Google search and you'll see this isn't the first game they've made. This isn't the first thing that they've created. It's an uphill battle to create something, build a community, and then get people to buy it. It's not something like, oh, hey, I support you. I'm here for you. Okay, I support you to the point where I'm going to take money out of my pocket to give to you to see this come to life. Is a whole nother. I don't remember the actual breakdown percentage. Like, there's people who support you, or like if you're selling a product to somebody, there's your community. If you get 10% of your community to buy something, like, those are obscenely great numbers, because it's really that 10% of that 10% of that 10% are people that are actually going to go out of their way to fund the funds into that thing that you're wanting them to buy. You get 10% to click, and then of the 10% that click are the people that are actually going to hit buy. And it's, you have big community, but then turn to that funnel to get to that point of where that thing is going to come to life. And so being the indie, being the guy literally doing this on their own outside of the people who've done your art and your sculpting and things of that nature, you're arguably a one-man show trying to put out a board game right now.
And the funny thing is with the art too is, like, I've done artwork for it too myself. Like, all that layout that you see, all that, that's all me. That's all me using my art degree that I didn't think I was ever going to use. But then one thing I want to double back on real quick is, like, we're talking about the miniatures. People are like, oh, it should be this much. So again, we'll take one of my favorites, the engineer, right? So she's this big. This is the size of your standard chibi hero, right? 1 square, decent size, whatever. This is the size of the dungeon bosses in general. They're usually twice the size.
Hold on, you're freezing a little bit.
So you get that big boss feel of, like, if you're playing like an MMO or something, like when the whole group is taking on the boss, is usually bigger than everybody. So these are 2x2 squares for the most part, the bosses. But we do also have heroes that are 2x2 square as well, like the Nether Elf Huntress.
Oh, cool.
Equally large.
Mount. I love that mount.
Oh, the tiger? Yeah. Such a doofy look on the face too. It's perfect. Which, fun fact, the artist who did the artwork after I described it to him modeled that after his own cat, who had a broken tooth, and I was like, I love it. Don't change a thing. So here's one of the larger heroes, basically a Tauren shaman who we named Mugashaka, and she's there. But then again, the troll queen, 2x2 base, again, big difference in size.
Do you have any Wizards minis at your disposal?
I have a very busy desk. I might have something.
Because the big thing I want to emphasize here is just the quality difference that you're going to get in between mass-produced plastic that you're buying for the same cost that this breakdown of these models is, for considerably different quality.
I'm going to pick a fight right now that's really going to backfire on me, but here we go. So, Arcadian Occultist. Here she is. She floats. She has moths all around her. I'm not going to really focus on her. I know it. But
that's okay. We can post photos on Instagram later to actually like highlighting and showcasing the quality of these models.
But her beads on her necklace, I don't know what they're called, but she's supposed to be like she's Middle Eastern inspired. So she has like these like little golden like seashells at the bottom of her like sari here that in each individual one you can pick up on.
See, it's as somebody who does 3D print and understands the level of difficulty that comes into play for that, little details like that you're going to get in a mass production, and mass production in the sense of what you're putting out to create said game, that's not an easy thing to do.
And then you have a standard Space Marine right here.
Yep.
Actually, I think this is a Space Marine Lieutenant.
I think that's actually a better example of showcasing the size of these chibis.
Right. And I will tell you, not just because I did it, the unique individual detailness of this one is better than this one, because this is, I mean, anyone who's played 40K or built 40K knows like those minis are they're generic.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like these minis the whole way that Super Dungeon, the predecessor, had it. And the same vein that I want to follow in is they all have personality. Like, if you look at this delusional, corrupted sister, right? She's got a doofy smile on her face. She's happy. Here's the other sister that went the other route. Emo, dark, angry. Like, their personalities are on their face.
Yeah.
They're not just screaming going into war. They're not just generic. Like, they have backstories that you can tell without reading a single word.
Right.
And I think that's actually a fantastic way to describe quality of minis. Is I had an example that I was thinking about this earlier today. Is that your first image or your first look at something should be able to tell you a lot about a character without saying a single word. You should be able to catch up on, like you mentioned, like those or the shell detail. Those little details are what create backstory for something without things being said. Because even if you don't have like canonical explanation for those things, as the viewer, as the user, as the end user, you can look at those things, and then because said thing, you can start creating your own lore. You can start creating your own input for this reality to come to life for you, because those little things are available for you to pick up on, as compared to something just being mass general produced.
So to move off of the, I guess I'll call it the clinical side of things of the game. What you just said is part of the reason I designed the game the way I did the campaign system for it, is so now like you can rename any character whatever you want, because on the character sheet it'll say player who owns it, the name on the card. So like for instance, she would have been Arcadian Occultist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says name. You can just name her. Like, this is my character. I'm going to name her what I want to name her. You know, she is Amiria of the Sands. Like, that's her name now, right? Okay, cool. As you play through the dungeons and the narrative story, you're leveling her up. The whole point is, like, you can play it where you just go, okay, I'm just going to level this like World of Warcraft. I don't care. Like,
right.
My character has no story. It's just we're playing through the story of the game. Or you could be like, this is my guild. This is how this person came in. This is her backstory. This is what happened to her in this dungeon. Like, you could make your own story for your guild that could be hundreds of pages long if you wanted per character. Like, that's the whole point of that personality and the way the game was designed, was that it's to build a community around the game. And the funny thing about the game is, because the guild charters are universal, you can have 10 characters that, let's say Bozer's going to a convention in California, right? And he has his 10 heroes that he wants to bring and go on an adventure with out there at the convention because he knows it's going to be there. He can bring his 10 characters, his 10 character sheets, and his 10 minis loaded up, painted how he wanted to paint them, bring them to the convention, and play with T, who came to the same convention, And it was just like, oh, you brought your guys, I brought my guys. All right, cool. Let's run a dungeon together, because it's a world building game in and of itself. So you could do that in your basement, you could do it in your game store, you could do it in your community, you could do it across the world.
Community, just like on its own.
Yep. And there's a lot, and like I said, there's world events in the game. So when you beat, so there's multiple narrative chapters. When you beat the third story of chapter 1, called The Witch's Fate, which we were going to do live Thursday, but unfortunately Grandpa passed away, so we're going to have to reschedule that.
I'm sorry.
No, we already talked about it. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, the man is no longer struggling. He's not dealing with all the stuff he had to deal with. I mean, the man beat lung cancer. Like, he's just, as far as I'm concerned, he's at peace, and God bless him. Let him rest. He used to crack me up, because every time I went to, we went and saw him, he's like, hey, Drew, you still work in Brooklyn? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. Like, just every time I saw him, I never knew what that was about, but every time he would ask. So we're going to redo that and do that live on stream. I got to get a new date for it, maybe over the weekend or something. I got to talk to my friends and see when we can do it. But after you defeat that specific chapter, it unlocks the Temporal Caverns World event, where now every dungeon you're going through, you can collect items from the enemies you face. And once you collect X amount of each item, and it's through multiple dungeons, it's not going to be done in one run, it opens up a whole nother chapter of the game that's its own little side quest in the game that lets you run more narrative dungeons that actually tell you who Celeste, the Lady of Plagues, was before the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
Tells you when she was a kid, when she was saved in her town that was being attacked, to when she grabbed the axe and the mask and turned into the Lady of Plagues. And then the last chapter of that is her defeat and them dumping her body into the water of Frostbite Reach, the frozen waters. And the way that the opening lore of the game happens is the epilogue of the opening lore is the frozen shores of Frostbite Reach are there, and she just walks out of the water 200 years later, whispers to her stuffed teddy bear that's wearing armor, Mr. Buttons, which is a whole story about who Mr. Buttons is that you learn in there too. Yeah, that was the teddy bear when she was saved as a small child. She whispers in his ear and throws him into the snow, and he turns into the giant mount that she rides into battle.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's so beautiful.
And what's crazy is her final. So she is like the penultimate baddie of the game, right? I'm sorry. Let me finish that before. So you get to do all that in addition to the main narrative, the main campaign, the main questing you're doing, and eventually, when you complete all the narrative dungeons, when you get enough heroes to level 9/level 10, you can start doing the raids, which you bring 10 heroes to, which is unheard of before in the game. It's super smooth, super balanced. I was surprised how balanced we got it with playtesting, because I was like, 10 heroes. That's a lot of heroes to put on the board. Like, that's a lot of playtesting.
A lot of moving pieces.
We were able to, on a Saturday barbecue, so we were able to clear one wing, if you realistically look at it, with playtime, under 90 minutes. Actual time from bullshitting and eating ribs, probably about 3 hours.
Yeah. But let's be honest here.
Legit playtime, like probably 90 minutes or less to clear a raid wing. And as you go through, you hear the story of where things are now to get to her at the Plague Throne. And the raids are designed that they have multiple wings and a raid boss fight. And each wing is designed so that you go through the dungeon, it stops, you can save. So the three of us played Thursday. We made it through this first raid wing. We're like, woo, like that was a close one. Now we got to rest. All right, I'll see you guys next week. We'll do the next raid wing. You don't have to do it all in one shot.
Yeah.
So people are like, well, if it's 4 raid wings, how are you going to do that in a single night? You don't. You do it in one, and then the point is
challenge accepted.
And it's a board game. Like, stop whenever you want. Just take a picture of the board, or don't move it from your table.
Or if you do like my friend Adam has, he has one of those tables where it's like set down with the felt, so you can just put like the top over.
Oh, the cover on top.
Don't make me jealous. Stop it.
No, listen, I wish I had that here because I run this game.
Yeah.
Like, this game happens at my house because I have so many miniatures and everything for it.
Yeah.
But
how many people do you need to play this game, by the way?
So that's another thing I did with the campaign and rule system, as I made it where you could play by yourself if you really wanted to, or you could play in the end game. So standard, you could go up to really 8 players.
Okay.
If you're doing mega dungeons, which are harder and more and just really longer to do, they take more play time. So I would say let's just do this. I know exactly how to break this down. You do solo play. We can be by yourself. You could be two people bringing multiple heroes to, because it's really the dungeon difficulty and size is based on the number of heroes you bring.
Okay, not players.
Right, not players.
Yeah.
But you could do a minimum of one person to a maximum in the end game rate of 10 people if you really wanted to.
That's
I'm thinking
awesome.
My brother-in-law would love this, and he likes these beefy games, and yeah, like and you, Eric and I, let's sit down.
If he's never played Super Dungeon before, here's another big design thing that I did with the game, which is really I'm sorry, this is the one thing I'm very proud of about the game. It is fully backwards compatible. So if you buy this game new and you're like, bro, this was so much fun, I want to get more for this game, but he only has this, what do I do? It's based off an existing game. I want to get more. Dude, look at that mini from Super Dungeon. Doesn't matter what it is, it works.
Oh, no shit.
So if you're like, oh, Beatrix, the Witch Queen, she's such a great model because she's literally like a little witch on a pumpkin that's pulled by two cats.
Yeah.
Love that mini. Let's say you want her as a dungeon boss, buy her. She works. She absolutely works.
That's awesome.
He's making money off of you.
And it's designed that if you don't own something for the narrative dungeons, where the narrative dungeons are just designed thematically. So like the Witch's Fate will tell you to use this Von Drac tile, this Forgotten King tile, this, these enemies. You don't own it, no problem. Swap it out with anything you have. It works. The game is still playable. It doesn't prevent you from doing the game. It's just more immersive if you have other things sometimes.
Right.
But then there's a whole chapter dedicated to everything that you get in the Plague Throne, where like you're only going to use those tiles, you're only going to use those spawn points, those bosses. Like so you can get a full thing, even if you don't own anything else, you can still get a full narrative, immersive experience for an entire chapter of story, where you're like, oh, this is what it's like if I have the other stuff. Oh, I'm going to eBay some stuff. Or if the company winds up pulling itself out, maybe you can get some STLs. I don't know. But again, it's also designed that there are some other STL creators out there that you could. The cards are available online. You can find them on the Super Dungeon wiki. Mm-hmm. That you could just print out whatever minis you want and use them in the stead. Like it's just all immersive and everything's backwards compatible.
That's awesome. I think that's a great play to be capable of. Like, oh hey, I'm going to be spinning off of this main game. But I think it was a very clever play. Like, yes, this is my game, but also I did keep in mind that this is a fun game. This is a fun system. Here's the option to get more content, even if it's outside of me and what I'm offering to you. Here's more world to play in. Go have fun.
Yeah, and all the narrative dungeons pull on that existing material. I mean, I have 2 IKEA cabinets, and the big ones too, filled top to bottom, front to back.
Organs?
It's something like that. It's the fancy ones, like it's like Laustensteins or something like that. They're filled top to bottom at 7 foot tall, 3 foot wide, front to back, Super Dungeon minis.
And that's just proof that like this game, like we were talking more off stream, but we're talking about it now. Like it wasn't born from some capitalistic like need for attention, need for money. Like it was born from your love of something, and you just wanted a way to experience it at a deeper level. And so you made this thing, and you're like, oh, does anyone else want to join it? And that's why, no matter if this game, this isn't a Kickstarter, but Game Found,
same thing.
Even if this Game Found doesn't quite make your goal, like I still feel like you are winning. Everything you do is winning because it comes from the right place.
And this is your Bozer talk.
Yeah.
Well, even if it doesn't succeed, which I really hope it does, because it'll just make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna try and see if I can find a way to get this out to people, because I think, based on reactions that it's gotten, and at Long Island Tabletop when we launched live that weekend, I had a demo table at my booth. So I had a full booth, and then in that booth was a full setup of the game where I ran people through complete sessions.
Nice.
And there were sign-up sheets for it, and I did 4 total sessions for the weekend.
Yeah.
Every single person who sat down at that table was freaking out about how much they loved it. every single person who watched was like, "This is awesome! Like, where do we get this?" And we direct them to the Kickstarter, and you know, but they're at a convention, so like they might go look at the Kickstarter, or they might take the card, and then by the time they get home, they forget about it. You know.
Yeah.
But it was
They're one of those 87 people.
or it could be one of those 87 people. But it is a game that when people touch it and they play it, not a single person has anything bad to say about it.
I think that alone should be a big enough driving force for you to, because obviously you care about this. Obviously you're committed. I would hate to see this not come to fruition, even if it's just for the 87 people, or what is it, 100 and?
It's like 107 people, 100 something backers now, but
111.
100. Oh yes,
well, that went up. I think
it did
while on stream.
I had to refresh.
Hold on. I got to pull this up now. What happened here?
That's weird.
Do people
is the stream working? Oh my god, are people watching? Are you moved to action?
It seems like it. Hold on. I got to find out now. View project page.
Are you able to see who backed it?
We gained one backer. We're talking about 111. I got 108.
Oh. Well, I was backer 111, so I don't know what that means.
Oh, maybe I just can't see it yet?
You've gained.
Oh no, I had a few people back out. That's why.
Oh, cheaters! How do you back out of a pledge?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm guilty of that in a couple of Kickstarters. Where like I got back. I'm like, this is totally cool. And then they just start unveiling stretch goals and shit that I'm just, or add-ons rather. That I'm just like, nah, I'm out. Just because. So that's another thing too, like about this crowdfunding platform with the Plague Throne, is I'm not sneaking in a ton of add-ons. Like the all-in pledge is the 3 add-ons and the core, and that's everything. Like there's gonna be some stretch goals that will just add on to the game in terms of like extra treasure cards, extra loot cards that permanently add and grow your deck with some unique items that you've never seen before. But it's just, I don't want to have, oh cool, here's just the book. Oh, now you want this, add on this, add on this, add on this, where your $40 pledge is useless unless you buy these $400 worth of add-ons. And that's the Kickstarters that I back away from.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I get to look and I'm like, oh man, look at this. Oh, I can get the book, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, yeah, if you want to do this in the book, you need this add-on. If you want to do this in the book, you need this add-on. It's like, so why don't you just tell me the base buy-in to use this book is $400? Like, we're good to go. Like, why are you just telling me that's $40? But, like, and here's the other thing that I want to talk about, if I can rant for a second.
Keep it going.
People who have never done this do not realize the sheer cost of this. Just to put something in perspective, when I tell you that it is widely common that the minimum buy-in is 1,000 of every single item in your board game, that is the starting point in terms of pricing. So if everything costs you $1 for your game,
and that's you, the creator, that's not retail dollar,
right? And you have 100 items in your game, that's $100, $100,000. I mean, those are gross, disgusting numbers that I'm talking about right now. But I'm doing it to make a point of, if you're not an established company who has an established relationship with a manufacturer and printing history, and you're able to order 5,000 of them, of every single item, the cost is astronomical. And I was telling you guys before, Shim, and I'll tell it here now because I don't care who knows. One of the big things that happened with my game was when I first ran it, they were charging me $3,000 to tool the miniatures. And that was a little surprising. I didn't realize it was going to cost, that they were going to charge me to tool the molds and stuff. I thought it was just included in the price.
Right.
It was $3,000 before everything. So when I shut down the last one, regrouped and came back to do this, they upped it from $3,000 to $32,000 for the miniatures, just to tool them. Not make them, not pour the mold, not nothing. $32,000 just to tool the molds. And that's not even including the tooling cost for the bases, which was another $5,000.
Jesus.
Absolutely insane.
You're up to 37.
Just 37 before I print anything. I'm talking before I print a single card, before I print a page of that book. I'm at $37,000. before I can even attempt to make this. And the funny thing is the mixed reactions is people, some people don't realize how much it is. Other people go, well, if you're in business to do board games, then that's the money you should have. That's the capital you should have ready to go. And it's like, so then where does a small independent creator come in?
Right.
So what I wound up doing was
what they want.
So I ran my own numbers, being an experienced 3D printer, and I said, you know what? I could run my own shop here. And I looked into the cost of getting 5 more printers of the same one I have, because mine is, I use the Elegoo Saturn 4.
Okay.
Elegoo, if you're watching, please sponsor me.
He deserves it.
Legit, they are my favorite printer company, and I use the shit out of them.
Such
I
good
them to
brand.
everybody.
I mean, they just got a free endorsement on the #1 channel on Twitch. So
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if you don't get a sponsorship,
No, but seriously, anyone who's watching, if you're looking to get a resin printer,
I am
Elegoo.
actually. Spell it.
ELEGOO.
Okay.
And the one I use is the Saturn 4 because it has a nice big base where I can print larger minis, no problem. And by the way, Bozer, go through their website. Don't go through anywhere else because on their website it's only $299.
Yes.
Everywhere else it's like $400 or more.
Are you kidding me?
$300. You get the full Saturn 4 printer. You get the scraping tool, all the extra kits that you need, like just for like resin switches, a couple extra components, like all extra bits and stuff, like extra screws, extra stuff. But if you do get the Saturn 4, call me before you set it up, because there's a couple things that when I set up, I missed and fixed. But my first few prints were straight trash. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. All my settings are good. Like they don't tell. So they secure the resin plate in there, the vat, with these little screws that I thought, oh, cool, like that's just what they use to hold it down. Nope, that's just for transport. You have to take those out and use these other ones with larger knobs to lock it down even tighter for it to work properly.
I'm laughing because I did the exact same thing.
Do you have a Saturn 4?
I don't have the 4, but I've got the Mars 3, and it's the same thing.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm an idiot. But yeah, so all right, so talk to T or talk to me, either one, before you.
Somebody coming over and setting this up with me.
But
got it.
So now I ran all the numbers.
Oh, he ran the numbers and said, "Fuck it, I'm out."
I'm out of here.
What'd you do to me?
Nothing. It just booted you. It said you're done.
Damn, I talk too much. Where I ran the numbers, and it's actually going to save me $35,000 to do the printing myself.
That's obscene.
That's after calculating resin, screen replacements, vat replacements.
Yeah.
Getting 5 more printers and everything else. I'm going to save about $34,000 to $35,000 just by doing it myself.
And that's, again, people, to remind you, that's the minis alone, let alone all the rest, let alone all the
cards,
art,
the dice,
everything that you've created thus far, the IP, the creative.
So that's the other thing people don't realize is art and sculpting costs money.
Yes.
I haven't done any hobbying, like I call it pleasure hobbying. Like I haven't bought a mini in over 2 years now. I haven't bought a Warhammer Army. What?
I said me either.
Why is your wife nearby?
I think she's in stream is the problem.
Oh, all right. No, like I legit haven't bought any Warhammer. I haven't bought anything because all my hobby money, I'm like, yeah, probably like I have like a hobby account in my head that like I'm willing to spend this on my hobbies this month, like to update whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's just all gone into this game.
Yeah.
So like, listen, I was gonna do this, and this is what I said to Soda Pop when we had the phone call. Was like, look, you can tell me that you don't want me to do this, and I'm gonna tell you to go fuck yourself, because I was gonna do this in my basement for no one else. If you want me to do it and get it out there and hopefully revive the brand a little bit, I'm like, I'm more than happy to do it. But this is happening either way. So the money that I spent to it, I have no regrets on, because now me, my friends, my dad, who was obsessed with the game and beat cancer.
Yeah.
Now we're still going to keep playing the game. And
like created the memories.
Right. And now like we still have a reason to get together every couple of Thursdays, you know, and play the game. Like my birthday's coming up this month. What I usually do for my birthday, because my mother-in-law coincidentally has the same birthday as me. My wife goes over there with the kids, and then I have my friends over for just a day of Super Dungeon.
That's a great day.
So listen, it actually is because I like to barbecue and everything, or order food.
When's this party that we're crashing?
November 30th. You want to come?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send you the info. I haven't talked to my wife about this year's yet. Based on recent events, now's not the time. I'll bring it up next week.
Thanksgiving, isn't it?
What?
Like Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving's late this year. So
Yeah,
it's Thanksgiving
28th.
weekend, and then you have Black Friday, and then my
I'll
birthday.
already be in Pennsylvania.
Dude, that's just a couple hours away. I'm just saying.
And it's just a couple more hours to convince my wife that she likes this kind of game and worth the try. So,
listen, and if you want to meet two cute kids before they go to grandma's, you can. If you like dogs, I got an adorable dog.
You got me better with dogs, yeah.
Oh, dude, dog is an absolute. He's gonna bark at you for the first 10 minutes, then he's gonna be your best friend.
So was T.
Yeah, he barked at me the first 10 minutes when I met him.
Yeah.
But so to get back on track,
it's costly.
It's a very costly venture, and one of my favorite quotes to this day is, "You listen. This project is. Hold on, let me see if I get the phrasing right. This project is bullshit. You should make up for Ninja Division's failure if you dare to put out a game in the same vein. And this should be $40, and everything that you offer should be available digitally." Might have messed it up a little bit with the exact phrasing, but that's pretty much spot on.
If this was digital, even for $40, I'd be like, I don't need it. I'd rather pay $200 for all the goodies that I know my friend Drew put into it.
But now,
tears.
But let's break that down. Let's go with the low end. Let's say we make it $40.
Sure.
Now you have to print 20 miniatures. Do you own a 3D printer?
No, not yet.
Let's assume you do. Let's assume you have the Mars 3 like T has. You can't actually print the dragon.
Because it's too small?
No, the base is bigger than the plate.
So then at that point, then you got to learn to splice.
Yep.
And if you know how to splice, then you got to be able to put it back together in separate pieces.
Yep.
And still make it look as good. And then we're talking realistically, you put, let's arguably say, 5 minis, hero minis, on a single plate. You're still looking at 2.5 hours. On a good day, that's assuming your supports hold, you get it in one, you're able to clean the supports off, and there's no scarring, there's no mistakes, there's no misprints that needing to be done.
So hold on. I like where you're going with this, because I want to throw in a key factor before you keep going. How much is a bottle of resin?
Oh God, I don't even know the last time I bought a bottle. I think the last time I bought a bottle was what, $35?
So $35. I buy the big mamma jammas, which are about $50.
Smart.
Because I have the Saturn 4. Dude, I'm telling you, the Saturn 4 vat is tremendous. Where I pour in half the bottle, I'm like, can it still take more? Jesus, what's this? But it lasts. It works. It does it well. So, but now let's go with the more common size. Like Mars 3 is more of a common size plate that people buy. Because unless you're going hardcore like I do, you're not going to spend the $300 on the bigger plate. So how many minis are you going to get? So your time there. Now you want to print out these cards. Let's say you want to print them out of cardstock. Let's go to makeplayingcards.com. So now you got to print out thousands of cards, where there you can only do, I think it's a max of 107 cards per deck, or 106 cards per deck. So now you got to do 10 decks. When you order just one of a particular deck, it's about $25 to $30, or 15 to 25. I don't remember. Either way, let's make it $20. So now you got to order $200 of cards. Now you've already exceeded the cost of the all-in pledge in just getting your cards done through a generic website because you didn't want to pay for them. All right.
That would be done right the first time.
But let's say you have a better plan. Let's say your plan is, screw it. I'm just going to print them out on thicker paper, and I'm going to put them in sleeves, and I'll just do it all at home. How much does ink cost these days? Because I just replaced the ink on my printer, and goddamn.
Every time.
It's up every year, I swear. It's like $70 for an XL cartridge.
Yeah, I said to my wife,
That doesn't even use all of
that
it.
tablet.
No.
Because we ain't printing shit. It's
I
outrageous.
I don't print a fuck ton on my office printer, and I
Mhm.
swear I get through like 10 copies in color, and it's like, oh, you're low on ink. I'm like, are you kidding me? This was $10 a page?
And the worst part is like, oh, cyan is low, so now you can't print black and white.
Yeah.
So there goes that plan. Oh, I'll just print these in black and white then. Nope.
That sounds like a game I'd be proud to invite my friends over and play with me.
Dude,
Check out this game I spent $1,000 on, but I only bought it for 40.
For lower quality.
Yeah.
But now it has specific dice for it, which if I can do this properly with my large, meaty hands, come in multiple colors with different symbols. So you're going to go to a dice maker and have these custom made too? Oh, no, you're just going to make a D6 chart. So now you have to have a D6 chart for 5 different kinds of dice that are all D6s that you have to constantly reference because who's going to remember that all the time?
Your game is too complicated.
Yeah, then you get that person. And like, again, I'm not. I've cursed on here plenty, so I'll just keep cursing. I'm not shitting on anybody who doesn't have the money, can't afford it. I get it. People who were burned by people like me who put in $200, $300 into their last Kickstarter and got nothing for it. Like, I get it. But people saying like, well, you're a new independent creator. How do I know you can deliver? I'm like, because people already physically have things. Because people physically have product already.
Like, turn that camera. Turn that camera to your whole setup over here.
Oh, hold on. Let me make sure there's nothing incriminating.
Does that come with the pic too? Oh, cool.
What? This over here?
You mean this fucking proof? You mean
By the
that? He's even got a box already.
Yeah, the box, which, by the way...
Nope, fake news, green screen. He's not actually touching anything.
No, I don't have a green screen. I have...
A physical banner?
Yeah. Over there, I have a... Let's see, I have a poster. Pardon the mess of this room. It's post-Mysticon, believe it or not. So, like... You know what? I don't care. I'll show the mess. Ready? So all that down there is Mysticon mess, as I call it. Because I tore through everything to pull out like all the key things I could.
Mr. Max 2024.
Hold on. You see those? You see that piece of paper with all those squares on it in the brown box?
Yeah.
Those are test tiles for the game. Those are ones that I've just recently, reworked that I'm gonna play through with on the live stream. Like, so people saying it doesn't exist, there it is. And by the way, those are the 2 massive cabinets filled with the minis I was telling you about. You can see some of them.
No, those are pipes. I don't believe you.
Yes, true. So yeah, so like I just did a quick test of the box.
Sleek.
My only request is make the box the little nice matte material.
Yeah, I love a map box.
I love those boxes.
It's an extra
Just because I needed a back for it.
It's an extra $1,000. Oh.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna cut that out and frame it.
So be my guest. But yeah, like all the artwork and everything on here was created by a human. I did all this layout on the box.
I hate that we have to emphasize art made by human.
Mr. Buttons right there, by the way.
That's what?
That's Mr. Buttons.
Sick.
Yeah, it's like it legit exists. It's a physical product. People say, well, how do I know I'm going to get it? Well, I mean, in essence, you don't with anything you buy, but
yeah, how do you know you're going to get anything you order online?
You know how you know? I know. This man is a stand-up man, and he follows through in everything he does.
I try to.
Look at his life. If they even knew an inkling about you, they wouldn't doubt you.
So, but again, here you want to talk about care and dedication to the game? Here you go. So, before we even were able to do anything really big with it, this is what I had at Long Island Tabletop to sell.
It's
So
like,
this is the package for it. It's a clear see-through reinforced baggie, mini inside with special edition texture base. What you can't see. Oh, there you go.
there you go.
That card
Yeah.
is a thick linen foil card, collector's edition.
I thought it was foil. I'm like, why is it shining so much?
It's a foil card, and then I did the cardboard cutouts on top, where I covered up the old QR code with stickers. But like I put care into like what I do here. Like I'm not just saying, here you go, here's the cheap thing, thanks for your money. Like I want people to open this and go, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yep.
Here you go. You want to talk about... I got to move something quick. Hold on. God, you would think I'm... Man down.
Is that a bedpan?
No, that was a picture frame of my son on my display case. But so this right here, that's a display case I made for the convention.
Ooh.
Sick.
Where they were all Funko Pop size with bases. That bottom, by the way, is fully welded steel that it's standing on.
That's amazing.
And I printed out the background in like a high def stick on image, so like it just goes on the back in front of the plague throne, and all those I hand painted myself.
Fuck yeah!
Like that's the care and quality I've put into this game, and people still like, you're the devil. You're putting out a Super Dungeon game.
No, and let me encourage you with this real quick. Like, this is coming from someone who does communications with a school, so it's so easy to hear those negative things and think that is the majority, just because assholes are louder than solid human beings in most times. Like you said before the stream, like good guys, good people, we just tend to start to isolate ourselves in our own worlds because we are trying to block out everybody else.
Right.
So even though those might be the voices you're hearing, it's the ones that are believing in you that just aren't going out of their way to comment and say the supportive things that you might need to hear sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, I gotta say though, like in all fairness, this time around has been a much better experience. I've only had a few real bad naysayers.
Yeah.
Like one person sent a message to me that I've also changed my attitude this time around. I'm not entertaining any bullshit this time, so to speak.
Respect.
Where someone emailed me and complained that the artwork and the miniatures don't have the polished feel that the Super Dungeon ones have. And I just basically wrote them back like a 3-page dissertation as to why they're completely wrong. And it basically ended with me going, you're a fucking idiot. Don't contact me again. If you don't like the game, don't back it.
And I'm sure they read it and had a good deep look within themselves. And now they're
probably didn't even read the reply.
Shelter.
They probably didn't even read the reply, but
no,
it's just
they don't want to know.
You know what? It's just if you're gonna come say some stupid shit, like I'm not playing that game anymore. Like last time I was like, oh, what would you do to fix it? Blah blah blah. You know, I want you to back the game.
Don't waste your energy, dude.
Well, that's what I learned from the first go at it was don't waste my energy on people like that. And this time, like my attitude, not that it's literally this, but it's pretty much become fuck around and find out. Like, you want to shit on this game because you think it's not quality? I dare you to find. I dare anyone to find a generic, not boutique, miniature board game that can compare to the quality that I'm providing. They can't. I'm like specifically on the miniatures because I have sent this out to big painters in the community to try. Mm-hmm. Every single person has said, "Dude, the quality of these miniatures is unreal." Space Moose and Vlad did a Mysticon recap where he opened up the miniature like while they were doing their podcast, and he takes out the card and he goes, "Holy shit, Drew! Like, what is up with this amazing like?" He lost his mind over how quality the card was.
Yeah, because you cared that much. You put all this heart and energy into it. So just trust that what you've done is amazing. Yeah, I think you already know it's amazing. Don't listen to the bullshit.
I mean, I don't know if it's amazing, but for me, it makes me and my friends happy, so I'm good with that.
The power of friendship is behind each of those products.
And I'm power of love and friendship. And chemotherapy. But in all seriousness, this week I'm gonna try and find out what I can do. If it doesn't hit the mark on the game pound, which everyone who's watching, please spread the word. Please help it hit the mark because it'd be great if it did. That if it doesn't, I'm gonna find out how I can just produce everything locally and whatever it costs. I'll just say, hey, look, for anyone who's interested, this is what it costs for me to produce it locally. What do you want?
Well, I want to know. Let me know what that costs. But ideally, it gets backed because now I really want this in my house and I want to play it with T and my brother-in-law.
I think they'll love it. Oh, and a big thing for you to know too is what I'm going to send T. I'm sorry, dude. You got the first iterations of the minis where you're going to have to like glue the arm on and glue them to the base.
That's fine.
He's played D&D with me. He's used to it.
I'm pretty professional at those things.
The new So I spoke to the 3D sculptor and we reworked it, where it's still the same pose and everything, still the same detail. However, everything can print in one solid piece now.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So now you don't even have to assemble anything, well, except for the Nether Elf Huntress. So this little lass and her cat, from the saddle up is one piece, and then the cat's its own piece,
Smart.
just for painting purposes and,
Yep.
and transport.
Nice.
And there's one that is multiple pieces because he's just too big to do in one piece.
The supports for that would be insane.
To do one piece?
Yeah.
The supports just for the base are insane. So
I can't wait to understand all this printer lingo you guys are using. I'm following all of it. Totally.
it'll blow your mind how deep you can get into this.
I want to go balls deep into printers.
Alrighty. And on that note.
Yeah.
On that note, you guys, if you haven't already, use command Team Drews, or if you're watching this back or listening back, Team Drew. The link will be in the bio to go support this game found.
Game
as
found,
soon as
yeah.
you can. You got 15 days from today. This is Monday, November 11th. So if you're listening to this after and it hasn't been backed, then go follow Team Drew's Basement. Find him on Instagram because he's already reworking a way to put it in your hands, whatever that means, however it means, because you have put way too much effort, years, energy, blood, sweat, tears into this. I know it's happening. I know it's happening.
For the record, it's been 8 years that I've been working on this, technically speaking.
That's wild.
It's as old as my children.
Well, because like I said, it was just something I was working on for my family. I've been hardcore working on it the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But development-wise, it's been in development for 8 years, play tested regularly for 8 years now. Like, everything is as tight as it's going to get, you know?
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
T, can you imagine how solid this channel would be if we put Drew level effort into it for 8 years?
No, what I'm hearing is we still have another 5 years before we have to get to that point. So we've got maybe 3 more years of fucking around and then 2 years of actually hardcore committing to it.
Yeah, he said
that's what I'm hearing.
So we got time. We got time to be lazy. Great. I got time to quit my job.
Well, thank you guys for having me on the show, and I will text you about my birthday WASDEC weekend.
Hit me up. I know I'm going to be in Pennsylvania. That's where my sister's out and there, and my family will be there. It's her turn to host. We are trying to leave out of there Saturday. If we have an appointment in New York, sorry. That would give us a great excuse.
Just saying.
If not, then very soon we're going to barbecue or at least meet each other up. If you ever come out this way to the Midwest, let us know.
Wait, is
Okay.
New York not the Midwest?
That's the East Coast.
New York is East Coast, bro.
Is it?
How big do you think
It's literally,
Midwest?
I live on the island that has all the coasts touching the ocean. Yes.
Isn't that just Jersey?
Ew, gross. How dare you? Jersey is way different than Long Island.
But really, where we are, we're considered Midwest. But I think there should be a fourth option, or I guess more than four. Mid-East. Like, this is so much more east in the country than it is
Yeah, but
west.
if they call you the Middle East, it's gonna get really confusing.
Oh, I'm seeing now where I've gone wrong.
I'm seeing the error in my ways in real time.
I'm listening back what I just said. Got it.
And we just
Yeah.
got pulled from the air.
And now I'm in the Midwest. Okay.
Yeah, back in the Midwest. Well, it's the middle of the Western continent, I believe, is what it is.
Oh,
It's
Oh.
not middle of the west of America.
that's confusing.
Good
But
thing
so
we're
is-
not teachers.
No, I work in a school. I do not teach children. Let me just clarify.
Excellent.
So I'm not shaping our youth. I think we're going to be good for another 10 years.
Yes.
Drew,
But,
thank you so much for joining us, dude.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, guys.
The goat. New York tea.
New York tea.
don't
I
know,
think
man.
I'm just Midwest Drew.
Yeah,
Neither
he's
one is wrong.
worked harder than we have. So I think, yeah, you're Midwest Drew.
Yeah, we gotta give credit where credit is due.
That works.
Thank you for tuning in, you guys. Make sure you stick around for the raid where we're going next. And if you are watching back, comment below on how much you love Drew and his big lovable face.
You guys are ridiculous.
No, what's ridiculous is we'll be back in 6 months.
Damn.
I wish I could say that I'll see you next Monday, but knowing my busy season, like I feel like this whole year's been my busy season. I think the Christmas season really is our busiest season because we just take on multiple projects, multiple Christmas parties. I have to dress up as a fucking elf, whether I'm playing in a musical or not. There's parades, there's all kinds of shit that they just want us for at all times.
Pictures didn't happen.
Oh, it's all over the internet. Just Google my name. But it's not even sexy stuff. It's embarrassing stuff. But what was I saying? But I am hoping that probably come January, when things calm down.
Oh, look at this LinkedIn photo.
Oh, that's my old headshot.
Your jaw is not that chiseled.
I know it was apparently. I don't know what happened. But yeah, don't give up on us, fam. Thank you for those that tuned in tonight. We love you. Or those watching back. 4 Geeks by Geeks is not dead. It's just
Dying.
just dying.
I mean, if you need a guest host one night, keep it going. I'll hop on with tea and paint.
You are welcome to hop on a tea anytime. I just volunteered you tea. It's just struggling. It's taking a nap. It's resting its eyes. Not sleeping. But watch for the next Cloudscape, which is also going to be probably January.
It's going great, Bozer. Please keep
It's going
going.
great. I think this is where we raid and we just go away. Is that what we do now?
That's
I
accurate.
think we gotta say goodbye first.
Been too long. Take over, T. I'm gonna find us a raid.
While Bozer's doing that thing, thanks, guys. As he said, we're not dead, but we are dying. Not for lack of trying, though. We make content on the internet sometimes. You'll find us somewhere. If you're watching this, well, it's because you're the only one still around. So,
See you in January.
but until next time, I'm T.
I'm Bozer.
I'm Drew. I'm not part of the channel.
And you guys just
You are
keep
now. Geeking
geeking
out.
out. Bye.
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 Stick around for the raid.